In most cases, traders have securities in their account but have limited cash to actually place further orders. The securities you hold in your account can be in the form of stocks, ETFs, mutual funds, and government securities. These securities in one's account can be pledged with the trading member to get margin against to take positions with. Most brokers have a list of securities that they accept as collateral and provide margin against them. At Zerodha, we have this list which mentions all the stock where collateral is allowed. So the collateral margin is provided after deducting something called a haircut. So you can see the percentage of haircut over here, and this means for every 100 rupees worth of stock pledge, you'll receive about 90 rupees in collateral. So 10 rupees is deducted. 10% actually is deducted. The margin provided keeps changing on a daily basis based on price fluctuations in the pledged securities, so make sure to check before you actually pledge. We update the sheet daily after market hours, so that's when you can check what the new numbers are. The securities pledged with the broker remain in your Demat account itself with a pledged mark against them, so you can see that they're pledged. Since the securities are lying in your own Demat account, you will continue to benefit from any corporate action in that pledged security. Now, the collateral margin that you receive, right, that can only be used to take positions in the derivative segments and not equity. Now, the exchange stipulates that for overnight F&O positions, 50% of the margin needs to come from cash and the remaining 50% can come from a collateralized margin. So now this rule doesn't apply in case you're using collateral margin received from pledging cash equivalent securities such as say liquid Bs or GSEC or SGBs. Those are considered almost quasi-cash. In case you are using collateral received from non-cash equivalent securities and you don't have at least 50% of the margin required in cash, then there will be an interest charged on the shortfall of cash at 0.05% per day. So let's see an example. Let's suppose you've pledged 1 lakh rupees worth of stock. Okay. So now on that 1 lakh, there will be a haircut. Let's assume it's 10%. And you get 90,000 rupees to trade with on the derivative segment. So now let's suppose you want to take a 1 lakh rupee derivative position. Only 50,000 can be used from the money you got by placing the collateral. The other 50,000 has to come from cash. And if you don't bring that 50,000 in cash, then there will be a shortfall charge of 0.05% per day on that 50,000 rupee cash, whatever the shortfall is. So there could be a shortfall of 10 or 20,000, then that percentage interest charge will only be on the shortfall itself. So let's see how we can pledge securities. Simply fire up console, go to the portfolio section and select holdings. The holdings tab will show you all the holdings that you have in your account. That's equity, debt, equity mutual funds, debt mutual funds, and gold. Now I'll just scroll down, select a stock, select the options tab, and I can go to pledge for margin. So here you'll see the stock value, you'll see the haircut, that's 13.98% in this case, and you'll see the collateral margin available. So in this case, we have 9 quantities. The maximum we can obviously pledge is 9 quantities. Let's put 9 over here and click on submit. The pledge request has been placed. So now pledge requests will be placed in batches, once at 2 p.m. and once at 5 p.m. Even if you create a pledge request at say 11 a.m., your pledge request will be processed only at 2 p.m. The pledge requests placed on console can be cancelled as long as they aren't processed. So once the pledge requests are processed from our side, you also need to verify and authorize the pledge setup at the depository. To authorize the pledge, simply visit the link received from CDSL on your registered email ID or your mobile number, and you'll be directed to CDSL's webpage, where you're required to enter your PAN number and generate an OTP that you have to key in to authorize this pledge. Now it's important to ensure that your pledge requests are authorized at the depository by 7 p.m. Failure to do so will mean that you won't get the margins against the pledged stocks. Also note that you'll be able to pledge only those approved securities that are already in your Demat account. So unsettled quantities and T+1 holdings cannot be pledged. And one more thing, you will not be able to pledge your holdings if you don't have the derivative segment activated in your account. So make sure that it's activated, otherwise the pledge system just won't work. Pledge requests are processed only on the days equity markets are open. So you can't do this on a Saturday or a Sunday. So while we process each pledge, it involves a cost. And we at Zerodha charge 30 rupees plus GST per pledge. And there's no charge for any unpledging. So now there might be some reasons why your pledge won't be approved. Let's understand why. If you don't have the derivative segment active in your account, so that's one reason. Another reason could be that the total quantity of each approved security that can be pledged is limited at the trading member level. So you may be unable to pledge your holdings if the member-wise limit of the security set by the clearing corporation is hit. So you won't be able to pledge your holdings if the overall maximum pledge limit has reached for the security that you're trying to pledge. In such cases, your pledge request will be rejected with a message explaining the exact same thing. In some cases, your pledge request is rejected because you don't have the derivative segment active, and you can activate the derivative segment from the segment activation flow in console under the account section. So there's a very common question we get at Zerodha, which is, does Zerodha accept my bank FD as collateral? If not, why? So let's explore this. So FDs aren't accepted as collateral at Zerodha. Accepting FDs as a collateral is something most brokerages will not accept. When you pledge your FD, exchanges don't accept the FD which is in the name of a client. You'll have to book the fixed deposit in the name of the broker, and the broker in turn can submit it to the exchange. This is an operational nightmare, as you can imagine. Hence, most brokers just don't support this. Hope this video was useful.